So behind me right now is a typical UK garage. In fact, it's my garage. You are? The music genre. What's ironic is that when you're growing up, what you don't realise is that inadvertently music that you may not like is becoming the soundtrack to your life. So in my case, when I did my apprenticeship, UK garage was fucking massive. However, I weren't into UK garage, I was into hard house, funky house and house. And I love nothing more than going raving down clubs, absolutely smashed off my box, asking all my friends, how big is your telly? When you're looking at a genre of music, you've got to look at three things to see if it's an absolutely groundbreaking genre. And this is what those three things are. Number one, it's got to have some absolute classic, unmistakable pieces of fantastic music that are just anthems the moment they're made.
What you laughing at?
Number two, it's got to have some absolute steaming piles of turd.
Baby cakes, you just don't know.
Number three, what you'll have noticed is that number one and number two account for all music, but here's what makes a genre special, it's that you have some absolute steaming piles of turd that are also absolute bangers. And UK Garage had all of these and more. What the fuck has this got to do with safe isolation? You might get to choose the clubs that you go to, but you can't choose the pubs that you go to's music or the radio's music. So undoubtedly, you're being exposed to music that's not really what you like, but is inadvertently soundtracking your life. So when I was an apprentice, UK Garage reminds me of loads and loads of stuff. For example, when Craig David released that banger,
all calls diverted to answer phone. Please leave a message after the tone.
I know I was working at Nottingham University in a halls of residence above a dining hall, fitting lights into a loft, just because I remember that song.
For the reload.
Ah! Dave! I've been shot!
I don't fucking believe this. Could everyone stop getting shot? Shot. Could everyone stop getting shot? Bound for the reload.
What is it to do? That's it, I do actual electrical content. Eyes like pistols in the snow. Oh. Memo to me in the edit, if you're editing this now, flip the image because all this shit's backwards. Right, here's what I'm going to talk about today. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll have watched a massive run up to this. There's a bit of film for Safer September about Wilex, right? About my worst experience with an electric shock ever. So that's what this video is all about. But when I made the video, that video footage you've probably watched before this was on YouTube is about 2 years old because I never got my hands on the props. I like to work with props. Whether it's teaching on these videos, talking to cameras bollocks, I know that, but I try and use props. And finally, because people have been kind to send me stuff, I've got the props. So, top ones, Alan Chan sent me them. Very good, man. Thank you very much. Looks like a Chinese boy. Speaks like Taggart.
Hey, wipe the dab.
Now he's telling us when he's going to do it next.
That's from Dan at DMH. And that one I got off Ricky Byrne at the weekend, which is the one that enabled me to finish the video off. So cheers, Ricky. It's not quite the one I was after, but it's close enough to demonstrate what's going to go off. So let me tell you a little bit about Wilex, why they're so popular, and how they almost killed me when I was young. Don't tell this is actual fact, this is where I see it, yeah, from my years in the trade. Up until the second small disagreement, World War II, stuff like this, there's another prop that I need to use. Hang on a minute, let me come back to you and get this right. Cut. We're generalising, but up until World War II, the electrical industry weren't really an industry. There was people, there were normally telegraph engineers, there weren't electricians. Look at the first edition of the regs. I'll put a copy up here if it's on YouTube. It talks about telegraph engineers, not electricians.
So that was a fucking lie.
And they used to produce things like this. This is mass produced. This is off a guy called Mark, who has got an excellent collection of electrical things I've been able to visit. It looks like a bottle of scotch, but inside you'll see it's a porcelain, it's a collection of porcelain things full of asbestos rammed into a wooden box. Actually designed for the process, but this is the kind of fuse box you could expect to find if you were fortunate enough and rich enough to be able to afford electricity. And you'd probably generate on your premises, and you'd whack it through stuff like this, and it'd be fitted by telegraph engineers. And it's all thought out though. There's a fuse in there, there's a little cover lock for the live buzz bar, and there's a little circuit chart in there. So it's quite well thought about, but it's a bit Heath Robinson, if you like, isn't it? And a lot of man hours to make the wood. So after the war, materials in short supply, as is labour. A lot of people have died, a lot of factories have got bombed and all that kind of stuff, yeah? And you can imagine to make this would be quite labour intensive because it's a really nicely made thing. A lot of labour intensive stuff, making porcelain, kilns, potters, carpenters, all making this. It's all fragile, it's open back, blah, 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 blah. You get the idea, yeah? When all the stuff's been bombed after the war, we can't go round. We haven't got the labour, the money, or the personnel to make this kind of stuff. We need to start looking into mass production. And I ain't really looked into the history of Wilex, but that's where Wilex come along and start producing not only the ones I've got here, but certainly the brown wooden back ones. I've got a wooden back one here. This one that Dan got me from DMH. You'll see this one. This is a wooden back, but the front of it is made out of Bakelite, which is I think it's like some sort of early injection moulded plastic. But yeah, the back's wood, and the front is made out of Bakelite, which makes it quicker to produce. Now, if you're into manufacturing, get your hands on one of the wooden back ones, you'll see they're quite modular and quite clever. I'm not sure if that's the earlier fuse. Like I say, I ain't looked into the history, this is just me banging on, but that looks like the earlier fuse look. That looks more like it's been modelled on the pot version. And then you'll get the one you're all familiar with, which is the domino, which looks like that. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 way. But what you'll notice is the wooden back is made to suit. And if you look in there, look, you'll see that they're connected together. So those bits there, it's going to fall apart in a minute. Those bits just there, the brown bits, they're modules, 2 fuse modules mounted onto a piece of steel. So they can get as many modules as they want and make a board that's the right length, and then they just connect together. It's the first concept of mass production and modular, because you want to make 2-way ones, 4-way ones, 6-way ones, 8-way ones, whatever. It's after the war, copper's in short supply, and you'll see that really when you look into it, and I'll take the bits off in a minute. In fact, I'll take the bits off now and show you a bit more, because these are all going to fall off. I look like a twat. So still on the modular bit, yeah, they make the wooden back to whatever size they require. They sort of early days injection mould this into a mould, some sort of plastic. I thought it was Bakelite, but maybe it's not. Then the injection mould these double carriers. Look, you see there's one there, one there, one there, and then the injection mould the main bit. And you'll see that what they've done is they've absolutely reduced massively the amount of brass and metals used, because they're in short supply after the war. So it is what filled and built the house after the war, along with the introduction of the ring main, which was a war thing to save after war thing to save cable. They've absolutely slimmed it down to the actual bare minimum required to produce a fuse board that provides overcurrent protection for the massive amount of houses they're going to build. And it's just simple and effective. What it is not, it is reasonably safe if installed correctly. However, it doesn't meet the modern standards, which is what this video is about. But in its day, it was revolutionary, and it absolutely did the job. And there are millions, I dare to say, of these installed all over the UK. And there's still loads of them kicking around. I don't find as much as I used to because I don't work domestic, but I didn't have to wait long for people to give me these. So that is quite an early one, I say, with the wooden back and the modular thing. And also what they did was, as it moved on from the 1950s into the 60s and 70s, when they still made these, they improved design. And certainly when I started as a Sparky in the late 90s, you could still buy the ones that look like this. Hey up, it's in the edit, mate. You'll see that one there. I think that's the last iteration of this type of fuse board that Wilex made, with the 4 big screws in the corners in isolated things. Look, so that's where we got to before, in the last days of Wilex. But you'll see why that one and all its tightness around the buzz bars and little gaps was the last iteration as we go on in the video. These fully plastic modular ones, these were still available. You could just get the plug-in breakers from now and the adapted. This isn't an entire history of Wilex, but I'm just trying to show you that we've gone from this wooden back, fast production, to something like this that's probably from the 70s, but I don't know. But what I'm getting at is the improved design. They made them better, but not necessarily like nowadays. Everything's made better for safety and fingers and protective devices and that. But back in the day, these were made for mass production to provide overcurrent protection, to protect cables, and that was it. But let's look at that one now. We'll have a brief look at this one, mainly because it weighs a ton. It's killing my arm, yeah. Sent to me by Alan Chan.
Hey, wipe the dab.
Well, he's telling us when he's going to do it next.
This is obviously, I reckon, produced for a certain reason. Because you've got the main switch here. There's a fuse there. I'm not sure if that's for the income. We'll find out when we go in. Then there's one here for light and power. and one here for the water heating, the heating. I don't know, they're not very, it doesn't really show you what they're for properly. They sort of just dart around, probably because it's made up out of modules. This is in an incredibly heavy metal case, and we're getting more towards safety because we've got fuse in that and we've got a lot more covering. But you'll see down there, look, you can clearly see there's a bit of buzz bar on show there. So if you ever lost that top cover like this one has, there's a piece of buzz bar on show now. So if you come across one of these nowadays, that's not going to pass any sort of IP2X test, because even though it's been labelled up and looks quite modern for Alan took it out, there's a big massive live buzz bar stuck down there. So they're not safe as they look, and just be aware that change. Also, this one, accessible with the use of a key or tools, the thing we use, but these ones have got thumb turn screws, so I can just undo them by hand and look inside. So let's do that. Now, just note on this one, I've undone these thumb turn screws. This must be for domestic because of the way it's labelled. But now, because the cutout's so large, which is exposing that bit of buzz bar, I can still lift the lid off this one with the fuse intact. So I could undo this one with just my bare hands and be accessing all the live parts which are in there. Let me just compare that to the other one. So here's the one that I've been sent by Ricky Byrne, which is a bit of a more modern one. Not like mega modern, but you'll see that it's much tighter round there. I can barely get this screwdriver in, although I probably could get a bit of wire and give myself a shot. But the top cover will not come off because the fuses are preventing that coming off. However, you can still get your fucking hand in the back. It's not super safe, but there was obviously some sort of effort to make that gap to be tighter and it hard to get off. But we'll come back to this one in a minute. Back to this one. Now I've got the lid off, you can see it's 3 fuse boards in one enclosure, probably to cut down on metalwork. So you've got this one, which is your light and power, but it's got that fuse dobbed off it. Is that the incoming fuse? So that breaker there turns off all of that row. So you feed that and it turns off all the row. And there's obviously something there that's apparently for, it doesn't say, but it says light and power. That one might have been for an immersion heater or something like that. Then down here you've got another one that feeds this, and then that one feeds that on its own. So there's this one here, and then that row, and then another one. So I don't know, triple feeds in maybe for economy 7. I'm just showing it to drag the story out a bit because it's interesting. Clearly for a unique application, if anyone knows where these are used. Strikes me as something you might find like a prefab building after the war. But anyway, maybe an industrial setting. But the fact is you can lift the cover off, so it's not very safe because to get this undone, all you need is your fingers. But anyway, just showing that one for the thing. But let's talk about this one, because this is the one that nearly killed me. So I'll tell you my boring tale. This isn't the exact one, but it's the same. It's the plastic back one, which was a bit more modern. But the one I had a run-in with was a one-way one. If this is on YouTube, I'll be interjecting now with some footage of the one-way one, because I've got some footage of one-way one that I took when I was working at a training place, the Ed one. However, I couldn't take it away at the time, and I was hoping to film this video there. But anyway, the problem inherently lies with these is that they're pretty safe. This is pretty safe for the homeowner, yeah? There's nothing on show. And when the lid's screwed on, you remove the covers, remove the fuses, which will enable you to change the fuse wire as you'd want to. And even with them removed, there's not a lot of gap around there. You get a bit of wiring, but you won't get your finger in. So it's quite safe for the homeowner to be changing the fuse and fanning around a bit. The risk with these comes from when you are an electrician working on them. And we all know people do take covers off live like this. And there's a little problem that's related to the way that these are wired and these little plastic covers. Let's cut to the chase a bit then. You're a Sparky and you're doing some work on this board, right? Obviously that white bit won't fall out with the screws gone, yeah, so it looks like that. So you switch it off. Everyone knows I'm all about going one back. One back. I don't see enough people talking about one back. One back is the ultimate safe isolation. The fact that if I want to work in this fuse box just here, I would go where it is fed from and isolate it at its feed, thus meaning everything in this box is dead, which means you can daydream, ram your fingers in there, take things out, do what you want, in the full absolute knowledge,
Hey, wipe the dab.
the full absolute knowledge that no matter what you're doing here, you won't kill yourself. However, I know it's not always possible, but always enforce always enforce going one back. If you want to work in this box, go back to the next box, and that's what it fucking shite this. So yeah, always enforce one back. If you want to work in this box, go and isolate where it's fed from. That way, when you're ramming your fingers and stuff, you're very, very safe, and it's never done me any harm. Back in the day, this would have been fed from the main tails, from the Henley block, from the incoming fuse. So when you turn that off, when you lifted this off, which you can do, the top bit would still be live, and they provide these little covers, which are always missing, which are these little plastic mouldings that go over there to provide some sort of finger protection, but doesn't really. Let me zoom up on that look there. So they provide some sort of protection, but often these get lost or go missing. And this is what you've got to watch out for in these boards. So if you look from this side now, I'll show you how I come a cropper. Now these Wilex boards come in various sizes, but this use the same backplate. Look, this is one actually is designed for the number of fuses it's got, but you'll see these linking bars in there. So let's turn it a little bit of an angle to try and show it better, yeah? They follow the same design, but a lot of them don't, because these screws will appear in different places. On the one-way one, the screw is just here. On this one, the live is on the right-hand side, but I believe on the one-way one, the live's on the left-hand side. I haven't got one, but anyway, the problem is, you spark in, and you try and put the lid back on, and it don't quite go on right, and you miss. Can you feel that now? Can you hear that screws touching something? What can happen is, if you don't do it in the right order, or don't have the carriers in, for example, inside, that screw can make contact with that. And that is the main incoming live. And even though this is turned off, that terminal is still live. And that is how I came a cropper. Because on the one-way one, it goes into this hole, which is right next to a live. So you've got to be very, very careful with these fuse boards, because this can easily come into contact, this screw can easily come into contact with that while you're trying to keep it in. So I know I'm talking all up. The easiest thing to do with these fuse boards, if you come across them, is take the screws out, then place the cover on carefully, if you should not have gone one back, because they don't like to go on the switch anyway. And when it's correctly seated, the screws should go in to the right holes, and you can tighten them. But I assure you, and I want to put some B-roll in this by now, if it's on YouTube, that on the one-way, this screw is here. And to cut down on the manufacturing costs and the amount of metals used, because that's what they're all about, they have, that bar is linked directly to this, and the live is on that side, comes across here. So there's a lot of chance on the one-way ones for this to come into contact. Well, there's a lot of chance on this one for this to come into contact with all the live parts. So the safest thing to do, like I say, I'll reiterate, is to put the lid on and then put the screws in. But it's much safer to have it turned off. And I know it's not always possible. We know we were talking real life sparking, yeah, but just watch yourself with these. They're old, they're bold, they're great, but they're not the safest thing in the world. So when I had qualified, I remember, you'll have seen the bit if this is on YouTube, yeah? I remember what music was about. And I remember at the time, there was a song about going to A&E, about casualty.
Bound for the bound for the reload.
Dave! I've been shocked!
I don't fucking believe this. Could everyone stop getting shot? Could everyone stop getting shot?
And that's how I remember when this was. And I was about 20, 21. And I'd been to, I was in a student accommodation plant room, and there was communal showers.
Christ on a bike.
Not communal showers, but like shared showers. And there was a shower feeding one of these, and they was upgrading the heating to centrally, to heated water. So we took the electric showers out. And I got into one of these, and the old boy says, watch it, they're a bit nasty, they are. And I turned it off. That's actually on, but it doesn't give the effect, does it, if I don't? So I turned it off, and I disconnected carefully. With my properly insulated screwdriver, I disconnected the terminals, pulled the shower cable out, carefully pulled it out, which made this redundant. However, because we weren't going to turn the entire building off, this was fed with 100 blocks, I'm just going to put the lid back on and mark it as redundant. So the one-way ones have only got one screw, and I'll do my best to recreate this with this. But anyway, I'm there going like that, and I've got my finger over the screw so it doesn't fall out. I'm then trying to carefully put this back on. I've done the job, and I'm in a rush to get away. I'm in a plant room, it's dark, it's damp, the light weren't that good. We just used to wear jeans and trainers then, because that was what it was like at the time. I'm just putting this cover back on, and all I've got to do is screw it back on and mark it's redundant. And as I put the lid back on, I was wonker, and there now I can see that I've made contact with that live terminal. And I was too busy trying to hold that screw in, and I was not expecting this. I've not been electrocuted before at 100 amps, and I was lucky. Maybe my trainers were really thin, but that now was in contact with that. And I took such a fucking whack to my arm as I flew across the plant room. And I did fly. I know people say that all the time, but I did. My legs spasmed, my arm spasmed. I felt everything fucking go and tighten. I was like, this is fucking it. And I got blown across the plant room. The shock. Dave! I've been shocked!
I don't fucking believe this. Could everyone stop getting shot?
So yeah, because I was shocked, I never get shocked anymore, I get electrocuted, but because I was actually shocked and I threw myself back, that's probably what saved me, because if I'd hang on to the screw, if I was holding on to the screw like that, I could still be hanging on to it now. But it blew me fucking clean across the plant room. Nowadays, because of my age and stuff, and what I know better is, I'd have been going to A&E for a fucking ECG. But I was fucking, like, I was shocked.
I don't fucking believe this. Could everyone stop getting shot?
Not just electrically, I was shocked. And I remember sitting there dribbling in the corner whilst the old boys asked me if it was alright. And I was like, yeah, I'm alright, not crying. But I weren't alright. So these aren't inherently safe. I don't suppose any fuse board with the lid off, putting it on off is inherently safe. But that's my little tale of what I quite early on in my career. Wilex almost killed me. Not their fault, but just making something that works for years and years, but now everything's a lot safer. So if you're new to the game, if you're a apprentice or you're a bit younger than me, just be aware, yeah? You work on a lot of safe stuff now. A lot, not fucking still a black, let me retake that. The newer you are to the game, and the old boys that I was working with on that day would have been seasoned in this, but I weren't. I'm seasoned to it now, so I'll just pass it on to you, yeah? You work on a lot of stuff, and a lot of the modern stuff you work on, if you're an installation sparky, something like that, it's going to be a lot safer than this shit. But what you'll do is you'll build up a natural don't give a fuck attitude, because a lot of the stuff you work on is really, really safe. Like, for example, the ISO bar buzz bars, where you can turn the buzz bars off, yeah? Then you get yourself on something like this and don't give it the respect it deserves for its age, like old people. And you do what I did, you put that screw on and get fucking blown across the plant room. And you're not be able to blame it, because you should know the limitations and the safety limitations of stuff that's dated and old and stuff like this.
Motherfucker!
You should give it more respect and care. Not that you should give new stuff more respect and care, but when you're working on the old stuff like this, you will come a cropper like I did. And since that time, I've always been a lot more careful, but I don't think everyone deserves to get an electric shock that almost fucking puts them against the wall before they get that. So yeah, that's my little tale. I'm a big fan of safe isolation. I'm going to put a little video on the end of this that I recorded the other day. It was on my Instagram about that broken fire alarm isolator. That gave me a little reminder that not all the equipment I work on is tip-top. And it's not you. It might not be you. It might not be your equipment. It might not be your safe place to work. It might be the old equipment that you work on. That's damn, but I'll pop that on the end of this video just as a ditty. But yeah, just remember to respect the equipment you're working on, because even the new stuff might not have the right guards fitted, might not have the covers in the right place, some might have fitted it badly. You might be doing what you do on 10 boards all day long, and the other board you've done, for example, the polarity could be wrong, and you might touch the neutral and get a belt. Always check for voltage with an approved tester. Check it works before you use it. Check it for dead. Do all your locking off and secure, which I'm not going to go into this video because there's a million on YouTube, yeah? And then make sure you maintain that as you're doing it, and just don't take your chances, really. Otherwise, you'll fucking hurt yourself, and it's probably your fault, you fucking dozy cunt. Respect old things. Not old people sometimes, because they're sometimes like twat. Motherfucker! But always check, prove, whatever you want to do, whatever system works for you on the safe isolation. I'm not here to preach how to do it to you. I'm just here to tell you, if you don't do it, this is the result. And my arm did not feel great for about 2 weeks after that. So yeah, I'll start that over a little bit on the end. And I hope this video's not been too mental, especially the first half, if you're on YouTube. And I'll thank everyone for sending me all this shit, so I can show this point to you across. See you later. Unless I do some reshoot bits that I missed when I watch this back in 10 seconds. Fuck you. Here's a good one for you. That is on. And there's 230 between live and neutral, yeah? 230 there. I'll turn it off. That's off. No voltage. Then, go between live and earth. Like that, look. And that's off. It's still 230 there. So, there you go. Always do your testing, because there's something wrong. That dim LED sort of gave me an idea something was wrong. But yeah, if I just whip that out, I'd be having a bit of a problem now. Motherfucker!